Richard Phillips back at you with some more modern action. Today we have something very exciting, but before we get to that, I thought today would be a great time to start a giveaway. So this channel's grown from 0 subscribers and me just throwing something on the internet to see if people wanted to watch it to something that's grown into 60 subscribers and hitting 1,000 views on quite a few of my videos. First video I thought would maybe get 50 views, 60 views, something like that, and it's at, I think the last time I looked, about 1,100 or 1,200 views, which is way more than I expected. And as a thank you to all of you guys for liking videos and joining along as I learn the ropes on how to create content, thought I'd start a giveaway. So in order to enter this giveaway, I'm going to be giving away, well, first off, what am I giving away? I'm giving away a Creeping Tar Pit. In order to enter into the contest for the Creeping Tar Pit, you need to like this video and be subscribed to the channel. In either 2 weeks from the posting of this video or when the video reaches 100 likes, I will be selecting a random person. If you have liked the video and are subscribed to the channel, I will then contact you and send the card along your way. This is just a thank you for all of you for being wonderful and helping out the channel. So today I have something that I am very excited to play for you guys. It is Mono Blue Delver. Now this is a deck that a couple of years ago saw a little bit of success, but when Gitaxian Probe was banned, the deck more or less went away. I'm trying to bring it back today, guys. I've always loved the card Chart a Course, and Chart a Course has been incredibly strong in this deck. We just need to be attacking with something, we can draw cards. This is a very, very tempo-oriented deck. However, not only can it play a tempo game, but it can also play a long game. Can play a tempo game with cards like Vapor Snag, Delver of Secrets, and Disrupting Shoal. But it can also play a longer game with cards like Chart a Course, Vendilion Clique, Snapcaster Mage, and chaining Faerie Miscreants on top of each other. One reason why this deck hasn't been something that I've played for you guys before is because the card Commandeer is bugged on Magic Online. If it were up to me, I'd have probably 3 Commandeers in my side. But as at least of the last time I checked, Commandeer was bugged on Magic Online. One of the really cool innovations I saw from about a year ago is that people started playing fetches in the deck with 1 Prairie stream, which is more or less free in our deck, which allowed them to play 2 Geists out of the board, which can apply a lot of pressure in matchups where we need to win the game quickly. Because to be honest, Spellstutter Sprite and Faerie Miscreant beats aren't really going to get you there in any significant way. What else can I talk about with this deck? I mean, we're generating tempo. We've got, we're hoping to play something like a Delver or a Faerie Miscreant or a Vendilion Clique, and then use all of our tempo cards here to counter stuff, remand stuff, bounce things, so that we can eventually get to victory that way. We also have a couple Mutavaults out of the board, so we can counter opponent's spells and then attack them with Spellstutter Sprites, or we can just try to ride a single Delver to victory. Out of the board, we have a couple disruptive cards. We got 2 Hurkyl's Recalls and 3 Relic of Progenitus. These are great against graveyard decks. These are great against artifact decks. The one thing we have to be a little bit careful of is if we're bringing in some of our artifacts with Hurkyl's Recall, which shouldn't happen too often. We have 1 Vedalken Shackles. This card was one of my favorite cards to play in Modern until the printing of Cryptic Command and other mid-range decks kind of forced Vedalken Shackles out. It's very strong if the opponent can't answer it, but it is expensive and it's very easy to answer in the current Modern format. And then also, a lot of the stuff that we are scared of is not really creature. So I'm only playing 1, but hopefully it can be really good against like Eldrazi or something. If we can take a Reality Smasher and force our opponent to like attack into the Reality Smasher, I'll be very excited. We have 2 Set Adrifts. Set Adrifts are excellent with our 8 fetches. This kind of will allow us to get any troublesome permanent off the battlefield, a little bit better than Vapor Snag. Like Vapor Snag is good for creatures, but Set Adrift can be excellent in top deck situation because it also cuts our opponent off a draw step, which is really cool. We got 1 Jace the Mind Sculptor for the longer game. We have the 8 fetches. It's a little bit hard to get up to 4 mana like on turn 4, but on turns like 6 or 7, it should be great. We've got 2 Geists for quicker beatdowns, and then for combo and decks like Tron, we got a couple Spell Snares, Negate, and then a Dispel to protect our stuff or to fight counter wars. With that, guys, we'll jump into a league, And make sure you subscribe, like the video, so you can enter into the contest. And I'll see you guys at the beginning of round 1. All right, guys, welcome to round 1. We've got a hand that's got the Faerie Miscreant, Spellstutter Sprite combo. We also have Serum Visions and Vapor Snag. Our opponent mulligan. This deck really wants to be on the draw as often as possible, or on the play rather, as often as possible. This hand is a little bit weak if our opponent's playing a combo deck of some sorts. It does look like our opponent might be playing Storm. Because our opponent's playing Storm, I want to get the Miscreant out on 1, because then we can Spellstutter Sprite a 2-drop. See what our opponent did with those. Our opponent bottomed with those. Okay, so we are going to start off with our Polluted Delta getting a basic island, because we don't want to set up. We don't want to mess up our Serum Visions here. Because we drew another Vapor Snag, that means that we're going to be able to interact pretty well with our opponent, which is why I wanted to set up our 3rd land drop there. All right, so we're going to bottom both of these because we really want some action. I'm thinking our opponent's going to play a Storm card here. We're not sure our opponent's playing Storm, but I'm like 50 to 60% sure. All right, now it's pretty certain our opponent's playing Storm. Okay. So this next turn we can play Delver of Secrets and hold up Vapor Snag, or we can play Miscreant plus Delver of Secrets and basically make our opponent go off. Let's see what we draw. If we draw, hopefully we can draw Disrupting Shoal. That would be great. Okay, so we drew another Faerie Miscreant. Wow. All right, so I think what we want to do here is play so we can play a single Faerie Miscreant here, and then Vapor Snag our opponent's thing if they try to go off. Or we could play Delver and do the same thing, but then the next turn we won't be able to. So yeah, let's just play a Faerie Miscreant and we'll pass the turn. This way our opponent can or this way we can play another Faerie Miscreant next turn, and if we draw a land, then have Spellstutter Sprite for 3 available. Okay, so our opponent just plays Serum Vision, so it doesn't look like we're dead this turn, which is good. Okay. All right, so our opponent plays an Electromancer. We are just going to take the tempo positive play, bounce it back to our opponent's hand. All right, and we drew another land, which is excellent. So we are going to go ahead and fetch with this land here first, because we don't want to draw another land based on our hand right now. We definitely wanted to draw that land, though. So we're going to play the Faerie Miscreant. All right, and we drew a Delver. Okay. So what we can do here is play another Delver, or we can hold up Spellstutter Sprite. I think we want to put the beats down on our opponent and play another Delver here. There's definitely an argument that we want to counter the Spellstutter Sprite here again, but hopefully this one Vapor Snag will be enough to prevent our opponent from being able to kill us here. All right, so there's the first Goblin Electromancer, and then hopefully we can disrupt our opponent from going off here with this one Vapor Snag. It's going to be close. There's a chance they can win through it, for sure. Okay, with the sleight of hand on the stack, I'm going to go ahead and Vapor Snag our opponent's Goblin Electromancer. There we go. Okay, perfect. All right, let's see if we can flip our Delver. Chart a Course. Yes, we'd love to reveal that card. All right, so we have Chart a Course available here. So what would be great here is if we could chart a course and know for a fact that we would be able to draw land. But I think what I'm going to do here instead is just play this Delver of Secrets. And that means that our opponent is going to have to Okay, so we will go ahead and Spellstutter Sprite that Goblin Electromancer. Our opponent needs... I'm not exactly sure what they need here. I think we might be in pretty good shape here. All right, so we're going to go ahead and counter that Electromancer. And then we currently can deal 7 points of damage to our opponent. They might be forced to Grape Shot here. They can Grape Shot for 3. Nope. Okay, so they're just going to try to go off with Rituals. Maybe they have a Grape Shot in hand and they're going to try to just shoot down our whole board. But if they do that, then they don't really have anything else going on. Okay, so there's Grape Shot. So they're going to Grape Shot down our whole board here. All right, we drew a Cryptic Command. Here, I think we are going to Snapcaster Mage into Serum Visions. We want to get as much of a clock here as possible. Because if we let our opponent have more turns, there's a very good chance that we will die. All right, so I definitely want the Vendilion Clique. Do I want the Disrupting Shoal? I guess is another question. I think we're going to top and then top the Vendilion Clique because the combination of Snapcaster plus Vendilion Clique is a very quick clock. Okay, our opponent has a Baral. This is good for them. They might be able to beat us here. If they have Ritual Past in Flames in hand, we're dead. Okay, they just have a Grape Shot. Okay. All right, so that's significantly less scary. All right, so during our opponent's draw step, we are going to go ahead and Vendilion Clique them. They have a Remand. Okay, so they've remanded our Vendilion Clique. It's a good draw for our opponent. Next turn, we'll be able to use our Chart a Course, hopefully. See what our opponent has here. Ooh, Gifts Ungiven. Wow. All right. So we need to put... I wonder how many Grape Shots they're playing. They already used 2. They have 1 card in hand already. All right. So if we put both Rituals in the graveyard, we know our opponent can only generate 2 mana right now. And then we can Vendilion Clique them next turn, hopefully. So we'll just put both of them in the graveyard. And we'll make our opponent show us that they can generate more mana. All right, they're going to use the Manamorphose now. So they have to either draw a Ritual here or have had one in hand. And it looks like they might miss. Yes, okay, so they did miss. So this is good for us. Our opponent's not attacking. All right, so now we know that our opponent has a Past in Flames in their hand, so we definitely want to use the Vendilion Clique to get rid of it. If our opponent draws Remand, actually we have that covered, so we'll wait until their draw step again to do it. All right, so now during our opponent's draw step, we will Vendilion Clique them. Our opponent has another Remand. So this time we will go ahead and exile the Chart a Course from our hand to counter the Remand with our Disrupting Shoal. All right, excellent. So then this Vendilion Clique resolves. We'll target our opponent. We'll take their Past in Flames. All right, they have another Gifts Ungiven, which is a very good draw for our opponent. But we definitely need to take the Past in Flames. So we know that they have gifts and a land. Oh, and they drew a ritual. Wow. Okay, so I think we might just be deterministically dead here now at this point. That was a good draw off of the... Yeah, all right, so they're floating 3 mana. And yeah, if they just get the regular pile, we're just deterministically dead. Yep, all right, so we can put the rituals in our opponent's graveyard, and then they can just go ahead. Yeah, we're just dead. All right. Move to sideboarding. All right. So in this matchup, we definitely want the negate. We want Spell Pierces. We want Dispel. And we want these relics. I can also see definite arguments for Geists. Cards that are bad in this matchup, we don't want the Faerie Miscreant package is just not good. It doesn't provide any pressure. The Spellstutter Sprites can get rid of cantrips at least, which is probably worthwhile, but I don't think we want the others. Vapor Snag is also not really where we want to be. You saw what happened that game. It just bought us some time, but it wasn't really an end result. Because we're cutting some of our attackers, I want to cut a Chart a Course. Let's see, what else can we get rid of? We could probably get rid of a Remand. Remand isn't also really where we want to be. If anything, we're remanding our own spells. Same with Disrupting Shoal. Cryptic Command's also very expensive. Maybe we'll cut a Cryptic Command. Something like this. Alright, so we're on the play. We definitely want to go first. This hand is not super amazing, but it's fine. We're going to start with this Flooded Strand, and we'll get our white source, because we're not going to do anything else with our mana this turn. And then hopefully turn 2, we can counter a cantrip out of our opponent. Would be ideal. So we'll just go ahead and get our Prairie stream here. See what our opponent does with this scry. Bottom's a card. Bottom's a card. Okay. Interesting. All right, so here do we want to Serum Visions or hold up Spellstutter Sprite? I think we just want to hold up Spellstutter Sprite. We can cast Serum Visions next turn, hopefully hitting a land off of either our natural draw step or of our Serum Visions, but it does seem to me like they're going to cast something like a Sleight of Hand here, and we can Spellstutter Sprite it. If our opponent has a Bolt here, nope, okay. All right, so now next turn we can Spellstutter Sprite, counter something for 2, which is good. Opponent topped now. So that's a lot less good for us. All right, we drew a Chart a Course. Wow, this is a tough one. So we can attack with the Spellstutter Sprite, then Chart a Course and draw 2 cards and be pretty sure we'll hit a land drop. Or we can Serum Visions, really hope to hit a land drop, and then if we miss that land drop, it's a big problem. Or we can do neither of those things and just hold up Spellstutter Sprite. I think because we have this Disrupting Shoal, I'm actually fine with attacking with the Spellstutter Sprite and then playing Serum Visions and trying to at least set up a land drop for next turn. Because we can still Vapor Snag this turn. All right, and we did draw a land. Okay. Do we want another Spellstutter Sprite? The answer is, I mean, like, I could foresee that being correct. So I'm going to leave this uncracked. We might not counter something if our opponent plays... Okay, so our opponent's just grape-shotting the Spellstutter Sprite. Do we want to fight over this by playing another Spellstutter Sprite? Probably not. So we'll just let that happen. Okay. And then our opponent's passing the turn. All right, so I don't think we want another Spellstutter Sprite if we know that we only have one in hand here. So I'll just go ahead and fetch the end step, get another island, pass the turn. Okay, we drew another land, which is a good draw. And we'll just go ahead and take this opportunity now to pass the turn. We have Disrupting Shoal, Vapor Snag. We have a bunch of stuff up here. All right, so now we have a question of whether or not we want to just flash in a Snapcaster at the end of the turn here. I don't think we do, but I do think that, well, then we can turn on the Chart a Course for the next turn. And we have the Vapor Snag later for it. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and just flash in a Snapcaster Mage here. All right. All right, so we will now go ahead and attack with our Snapcaster Mage. Our opponent's being very patient here, which is a good move for them. See if our opponent wants to go ahead and remand this Chart Course. They might. Okay, our opponent's going to Ritual and then probably try to cast a Gifts Ungiven here at the end step, which we'll let resolve because we don't have much we can do about that. I didn't want to pitch the Disrupting or pitch the Spellstutter Sprite to the Disrupting Shoal here on the Ritual. Maybe that was what we were supposed to do, but when our opponent uses 2 cards to cast this Gifts, I think we're usually fine with it. I'm hoping that we can draw like a Remand or a Negate or something so that we can definitely fight next turn over this chart, or over our opponent's next turn. Because if we can draw land plus Negate or something like that off of this Chart a Course, we'll be in pretty good shape. All right, so we will definitely let our opponent have Serum Visions. I don't want our opponent to have another land, so I think I'm going to bin Steam Vents and Dispel, because we can hold our opponent off of lands this way. All right, and we drew a Dispel of our own. Okay. Do we want to put down a Delver here? I actually don't think that's the worst play in the world. I think we're going to do it. Let's put a Delver. We'll lay a little bit of pressure on our opponent. At the end of the turn, we can Vapor Snag our own Snapcaster Mage, which is always fun. Okay, so our opponent drew a Steam Vents, which is a good draw for them. Okay, they can have a Goblin Electromancer. That's fine. We will go ahead and Vapor Snag it here. Okay, and then we will Disrupting Shoal the Manamorphose here. So our opponent will just have 3 red mana. So our opponent would need like something like Manamorphose plus some other stuff. Yeah, okay, so they don't have it. Good. All right, and we still have Dispel in hand, which is good. Disrupting Shoal is a great draw. We will go ahead and reveal that and put our opponent here on now what is a 2-turn clock. Baral. That's fine. In response to our opponent's first Ritual, we will probably Vapor Snag the Baral. Okay, our opponent's just going for Grape Shot here. Targeting the... All right, so we can make a kind of a cool play here. So this copy... I'm going to have to Google something real quick. I want to know what the CMC of... Okay, so the answer... All right, we're back, guys. The answer is no. The CMC of Grape Shot is 2, as it kind of says on the card. But sometimes Magic Online isn't the best with this kind of thing. We have a couple of plays here. We can Vapor Snag our own Insectile Aberration, which I'm not super excited about. I think we just let it die. I'm pretty sure what we're supposed to do here is just let it die. And then if our opponent wants to cast something with the Shivan Reef here, yeah, okay. So this will actually kill our opponent, I believe. So we'll go ahead and we'll Vapor Snag this Baral, which will put our opponent down to 2. Then their Serum Visions can resolve or whatever, and that's the game. Okay, sweet. All right, do we want to change anything here on the draw? I was pretty happy with the way that played out there. I think I like the only 3 remands. Remand can save us potentially the turn that our opponent's trying to go off, but it's not great at allowing us to live in like a longer game. And this hand kind of has that same issue where we've got the Delvers and we've got 2 pieces of interaction, but they're not like lasting pieces of interaction. I think we're going to keep this, but we might just die. All right, so our opponent's going for the sleight of hand. We are definitely going to try to get a Delver down on turn 1 because the way that our hand's shaping up here, we're going to need to apply as much pressure as possible. Drawing a land there is very good. All right, we'll get an island, play Delver, and pass. Okay, and our opponent's just going to answer our Delver, which we're 100% fine with. Okay, there's a Geist. That makes our decisions here a little bit dicey because we do want to get the white source. All right, so I think we're just going to play Mutavault here and pass. And hold up Remand here. I guess we still can't get the white source next turn that way. So maybe this wasn't right. We'll definitely Remand this Baral. All right, so we can get a white source next turn. And we have a Vapor Snag. All right. Oh, we can get a white source next turn untapped. Cool. All right, so here then we're definitely going to go ahead, search for a blue source, and get down another Delver. So now we can Remand our opponent's spell again. And then hopefully they have to go to discard, which would be ideal. Okay. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll Remand the Baral. Oh, we drew Cryptic. Wow. All right. Polluted Delta is not what we were looking for. All right. So we will go ahead and search up a white source here. Get this Geist down and start beating our opponent. We have the ability to Vapor Snag our opponent's creature, so even if they draw a land, hopefully they won't be able to go off. Okay, so that's fine. And now we will Vapor Snag it back to our opponent's hand. Okay. Cool. And our opponent will now have to go to discard. See if we can flip a Delver. Relic of Progenitus. No, we don't want to reveal that card, but that hopefully will win us the game. So we'll go ahead and fetch here with that. we will play the Relic. And then now we have Cryptic Command up, plus the Relic activation. All right, so now we need to figure out whether or not we want to cast this Serum Visions. So right now we can deal our opponent 3 plus 7, so we can deal our opponent 9 damage. If we can guaranteed set up this Delver to flip next turn, then we will be able to kill our opponent. However, then we are not protected from Cryptic, or then we don't have the Cryptic. Yeah, I think we just need to hold up Cryptic Command here, because if our opponent wants to go off with Goblins, their best chance of being able to beat us here is... okay, so it looks like our opponent's not doing anything. All right, they do find a land. Let's see if they shock it in. Okay, so they do shock it in. If we counter this Baral, I really don't think we can lose. So we're going to counter... return... Counter target spell. Return the Steam Vents to our opponent's hand. Because we can actually deal 9 damage here because our opponent shocked that in. And we will exile a card from our opponent's library there. Let's see if we can flip a Delver. We cannot. All right. However, we're going to go ahead and activate the Mutavault and get in for 9 damage exactly. Our opponent's going to need a Lightning Bolt here in order to survive. Awesome. All right, and we were able to win the match, guys. Great. So our opponent stumbled on mana, and our Remand Vapor Snag was able to buy us enough time with the Geist of St. Traft in order to beat our opponent. All right, guys, welcome to round 2. We're up 1-0. We are on the draw here. Unfortunately, the tempo deck wants to be on the play. Who would have guessed? All right, this hand's actually great. We have the ability to Spell Snare our opponent's turn 2 play. So keep that for sure. Okay, our opponent has on a Forest into a Noble Hierarch. Huh. Do we want to Disrupting Shoal that? I don't even know. This is throwing off, you know, what we're planning on doing a lot. All right. We definitely want to get an island here. There's a good chance our opponent's playing Panza or something like that. Usually the Noble Hierarch isn't indicative of Panza, but sometimes they play like 2. I don't think this Spell Snare is going to be very good. I think we're just going to play Delver. There's also a chance they're on just like green-white Value Town or something like that. But even in that case, I don't think that playing the Spell Snare was going to gain a lot of value here. We can't Disrupting Shoal a Blood Moon here. It does look like our opponent's playing a 2-mana play now, doesn't it? Devoted Druid. All right, I think we'll just let that one resolve. That's not super scary, especially if our opponent doesn't have another land. All right, our opponent does have another land. And they're playing a Viscera. All right, none of this stuff combos, which is good. It's good for us. These are just setup pieces. Disrupting Shoal. Yes, I would love to reveal Disrupting Shoal. So now we have 2 different ways to prevent ourselves from dying next turn. We can Remand something. We can Disrupting Shoal things. We have Disrupting Shoal, Cryptic Command for the Collected Company. And I think we're just going to try to ride this Delver here to victory. Our opponent doesn't really have a clock on us. They can deal us 2 a turn. And we're currently dealing our opponent 3 a turn. Would be nice if our opponent took some damage off their lands, though. All right, Vizier of Remedies. That's one that we actually just can't let resolve. So I'm going to Spell Snare this one. I don't want to just Remand it. I want to Spell Snare it. I want it gone. Okay. Our opponent untaps Devoted Druid. They might be able to play a 3-mana thing here, or a 4-mana thing. They have Collected Company. We're going to Disrupting Shoal it, pitching, Collected, or collect. Yeah, there we go. So we're going to choose that, exiling Cryptic Command to counter it. Our opponent just has 1 card in hand. All right, we'll get hit by for 2 here. All right, we drew Spellstutter Sprite, which can let us counter a 1-mana thing. Yeah, I think I like not playing anything here. Once again, we're winning this race here. One of the ways that we could lose it is if we try to play something like a Faerie Miscreant here, and then our opponent can string together something like Vizier into Collected Company again. Although I guess we would have trouble with that anyway. All right, let's see. 3 mana for a Kitchen Finks. So currently, if we remand this, our opponent can't replay it. So I guess we'll go ahead and do that. They'd have to wait until next turn to replay it. Draw land, which is good. Duskwatch Recruiter. That's a pretty good one, actually. Do we have to Disrupting Shoal this? I think we're just going to let it resolve. It's too much. I think too many resources to try to counter that. Especially considering that there's a Kitchen Finks coming down next turn that I don't think we currently can deal with. All right, we draw Serum Visions. All right, so I think I like playing the Faerie Miscreant, and then we can play Spellstutter Sprite to counter a 2-mana thing next turn. I definitely wanted to play something because I don't want our opponent flipping the Duskwatch Recruiter and then being able to play Finks for only 2 mana. Okay, our opponent's just going to combat. That's fine. Sure. We'll take 3. We know our opponent has Finks in hand. We don't know anything else. We have to let Finks resolve because we can't counter it. Hopefully our opponent plays something else. No. All right. We can just flash in the Spellstutter Sprite just for like a beatdown / blocker. That doesn't change the clock, though, so I don't think we will. All right, we draw a Remand, which is pretty good. We definitely want to start off with the Serum Visions. We drew another land, which is good. I think we actually want to bottom chart a course. What we're really looking for is Cryptic Command. Another thing that's cool is that pre-combat we can, let's see, our opponent can deal us 3/5. Yeah, I think we're just going to attack with everything because currently we can actually Spellstutter something for 3 with Disrupting Shoal backup for 2, which is really appealing. Okay, our opponent's just going to draw a card here, which we're fine with. See how many things our opponent wants to attack with. Okay, just those. We'll take 5 here. We're fine with that. Okay, our opponent has a Windswept Heath. Another Duskwatch Recruiter. All right, so we are going to go ahead and Spellstutter Sprite the Duskwatch Recruiter and just hope our opponent doesn't have a 3-drop. I think this is the best tempo play we're going to be able to find. All right, so that works. All right, so we'll untap. All right, sweet, and we drew a Cryptic Command, which is a great draw. We'll go ahead and attack our opponent for 4, and we'll leave black back the Faerie Miscreant to block. So currently our opponent will not be able to fight through that. The Duskwatch Recruiter is going to flip here. Okay, our opponent goes down to 2. Presumably they're going to activate the Duskwatch Recruiter here at the end of the turn. All right, let's see what they reveal with the Duskwatch Recruiter. They reveal a Birds of Paradise. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so that means that we are going to have to not... Well, I guess we have the Cryptic Command. We could just bounce it at the end of the turn. So unless our opponent plays something here that would let them kill us during our main phase, like before combat. I don't. Okay, so our opponent can cast. Yeah, the Birds is fine. Because as of right now, they have not shown us any sort of like, yeah. Okay, so I'm fine with this. Our opponent's just attacking. Well, if our opponent just attacks with that, I'm taking it. If our opponent just attacks with those 2, I'm taking it also. All right. I mean, so if we block here, as it is, our opponent's dead on board. They're going to drop us down to 1, and then if we don't cast anything, we just attack back. They can block this, and then they take 2. So there's no reason for us to do anything until our opponent makes us, if that makes sense. So we'll just go down to 1. That's fine. They have to play something. And unless they play something that makes them not dead on board, I'm not going to do anything. Okay, Kitchen Finks does change that a little bit. Should we just Cryptic Command, counter it, and tap our opponent's team? What could kill us after that? I guess that would be like I guess even another Birds of Paradise wouldn't do it. And our opponent only has 1 mana, so we will counter target spell, tap all our opponent's stuff. Because then our opponent could sack the Kitchen Finks to the Viscera Seer to gain 2 life. Yeah, okay, cool. And our opponent agrees. We just have to always remember that. So if our opponent can sack this at any point at instant speed to gain 2 life. So the way that we were able to... Okay, so that worked out well. Good. Okay. So we win game 1. Our opponent is a combo deck. All right. I wonder how close we are to like exactly where we want to be in this matchup. Because we have the Vapor Snags, which are really good here. Our opponent does have like an infinite life combo where they can gain you know, pretty close to infinite life, but I'm not really sure if there's much we want to do. We could probably bring in the Shackles just to turn off another combo at instant speed. Maybe if we bring that in and cut like a Charter Course or something like that. On the play, I'll consider bringing in Jace. And maybe Shackles isn't right. So, like, cards that we could bring in the Dispel, but that seems really narrow. All it really is getting rid of is Collected Company and Court of Calling. Maybe that's enough. Maybe, okay. Well, our opponent started up again. All right, this hand can counter 1 mana stuff and 2 mana plays. I think it's fine. On 3, we can Spellstutter Sprite for 2. And on 2, we can Disrupting Shoal for 1. We need to draw 1 mana play here would be ideal. All right, Remand's not a 1 mana play. Okay, our opponent is just attacking with the Noble Hierarch. That's fine. See if our opponent has another land. A bird. Unfortunately, we cannot counter that because I would have 100% countered that if we could. Okay, our opponent does have another land. All right, so all these things are good to know. We'll just go ahead and play a land here and pass. We can Spellstutter Sprite something for 1. We can Remand something like a Collected Company. Or if we tap out at the end of the turn, we can actually Disrupting Shoal Collected Company also. It does look like our opponent has Collected Company here. Okay, so they definitely have Collected Company. So do we want to play a Spellstutter Sprite here, then be forced to Disrupting Shoal Cryptic Command, but then be able to Spellstutter for 3 next turn? Or do we want to just do nothing? Because then we can like Remand Collected Company. Well, Remand and Collected Company doesn't get rid of it. So I think I like that. I think like we're just going to get a Spellstutter Sprite here. Our opponent's going to class Collected Company. We're going to Disrupting Shoal it. And then at least we have something on the battlefield. Because just like sitting here and remanding Collected Companies is, I mean, it's tempo positive for us, but at the same time, our opponent has so many mana dorks and stuff like that. They only have 3 cards left. Okay, we drew another Disrupting Shoal. Yeah, let's attack for 1. Show our opponent we mean business here. We can activate the Mutavault to add another Faerie to the board, and then Spellstutter Sprite for 3. So if our opponent plays something like a Kitchen Finks here, we'll do that. Yeah, okay. So we'll go ahead and activate this. Spellstutter Sprite. Hope our opponent doesn't have a path. I think our opponent's reading. This used to be a very common elf play. Like, I'm not really sure why they're... Maybe, I mean, maybe they're thinking about whether or not they want to, like, dismember something. All right. That works. All right, it does look like they're going to path something. Okay. Oh, Abrupt Decay. Wow. All right. Well, there's nothing we can do about that. So they got that. But it's still a 1-for-1. Like we're not super unhappy about that that exchange. All right. We will continue to attack our opponent here. We can do the same thing. This upcoming turn, we also have Remand up. Okay, our opponent drew a Horizon Canopy, which is the best land they could have drawn if they were drawing lands. All right, Vizier of Remedies. Yeah, let's go ahead. We'll play the Spellstutter Sprite here. We have the ability to activate the Mutavault, but this also lets us hold up Remand, which is kind of cool. I'm setting up so that next turn, even if we draw a land, the Disrupting Shoal isn't all that bad because we can counter an up to 3 CMC card with the Disrupting Shoal without pitching something. Opponent just has 1 card in hand left. If it involves black mana and isn't an Abrupt Decay, we can Remand it, even if it's 2 CMC, because our opponent won't be able to cast it again. Like a what's that card called that lets you look at your opponent's hand and take something? Okay. All right, so that resolves. It's good we countered that. And our opponent's just attacking us for 4, which we're fine with. We'll attack back for 4. All right, what's this? Our opponent's drawing a card. Opponent plays a bird. Yeah, we're fine with that. You got a bird. Another Disrupting Shoal. All right. We're not really doing anything else with our mana here, so we'll just go ahead and mush for 4. Our opponent can mush back for 4. See who the first person is to draw some action here. All right, that's not action. That's great. We'll probably just Remand any play our opponent makes. Just because I want to draw cards. Okay, our opponent doesn't play anything. Ooh, Chart a Course. That's great. All right, so now this time we're only going to mush for 2. So we'll mush. Awesome. All right, and then we'll play Chart a Course. All right, our opponent cracks a Verdant Catacombs in response. For a tapped land. Okay. Oh, now they're doing something. Okay. Oh, they have Collected Company. That's a good last draw for them. Oh, no. Court of Calling. Oh, no. All right. Court of Calling for 3. We are going to Remand the Court of Calling. All right. We'll go ahead and play this Polluted Delta here. Get an island. And I believe we want to Serum Visions here. Okay, we drew Snapcaster Mage. Ooh, and Vedalken Shackles. Wow. Shackles is actually, I think, going to be nuts here. All right, so we'll leave them both on top. We can Disrupting Shoal something for 1 or 2. I wonder what our opponent's going to get with a Court of Calling. Probably another Kitchen Finks. They just want, or maybe an Eternal Witness. Eternal Witness to get back. Yeah, that's probably what it is. It's Eternal Witness to get back Court of Calling. Opponent draws a land for the turn, which is great for us. They can cord for a lot, but they probably don't have anything in their deck that they can cord that much for. They can cord for Eternal Witness. That's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. They can cord for Eternal Witness and then cord for 1 after that. So they could cord for like Eternal Witness plus Noble Hierarch and attack us for 5 if they want to, all in 1 turn. But I don't think that's what they're gonna do. All right, let's see what they cored for. Still cording for 3. Oh, cording for 2. Okay. Still couldn't have Disrupting Shoaled that. Wonder what they're getting for 2. Okay, a Duskwatch Recruiter. That's interesting. Oh, and they're going to activate it. Okay, it's a good play from our opponent. No, all right. So we have an interesting decision here, which is we definitely want to play the Vedalken Shackles. Maybe we want to tap differently for it though. All right, so we're playing the Shackles for sure. But I think here what we want to do actually is we want to just steal this Duskwatch Recruiter immediately. So that way our opponent will not be able to get a bonus off of it with the Duskwatch Recruiter. Well, I guess we'll wait until our opponent tries to get something here at the end step with the Vedalken. Or with the Duskwatch Recruiter. At this point, we're going to need to start chump blocking with these Spellstutter Sprites, so we will hold them back. There's a lot of decisions here. All right, our opponent uses their Duskwatch Recruiter. What are they revealing? Oh, we need to set another stop here. Also set an upkeep stop. Our opponent has multiple decisions it looks like they can make. Opponent reveals a Voice of Resurgence. So does that mean we want to take the Duskwatch Recruiter? Probably. So we'll go ahead and take it now. We didn't want our opponent to be able to activate the Duskwatch Recruiter like 3 times during their turn. So if our opponent attacks with Kitchen Finks, we'll double block the Kitchen Finks. We have Disrupting Shoal. We'll pitch Disrupting Shoal for the voice. Yeah. All right, so we're countering the voice. So it's whatever card our opponent drew this turn. All right, Viscera Seer. And we will definitely double block the Kitchen Finks if they attack with it. All right, do we want to just take 1 off of this Bird of Paradise? Probably. Not terribly worried about taking 1. So we'll go ahead and take the 1. We are not untapping the Vedalken Shackles. All right, and we drew a Delver, which is a good draw. Yeah, I think I like playing it and holding up Snapcaster Remand, among other things. So yeah, we'll just pass the turn like this. I think with this Vedalken Shackles in hand, we're currently ahead, and we don't want to really force a damage race. We're ahead on board. Like, not currently, but like pseudo, because if our opponent like wants to force attacks, we can block them with our Duskwatch Recruiter, and hopefully we can flip this Delver, which would be ideal. All right, so our opponent is attacking with the Kitchen Finks. So that makes me want to definitely go ahead and double block it. Because then we can just go ahead and take the Kitchen Finks. Our opponent can order the blocker so that the Duskwatch Recruiter doesn't die. They can deal all the damage to the Spellstutter Sprite, which might actually be the correct thing to do here. Collected Company. All right, we can Snapcaster Remand this, but then our opponent can still cast it. Oh boy. And if our opponent hits one of the white things, then we're just dead. All right, I think I like making our opponent do it. It's going to make them use up all their mana. And if our opponent hits a Voice of Resurgence, it would put us in real bad shape. All right, sure. All right, so we'll remand it. All right, we draw a Prairie Stream. So our opponent can now tap everything to cast it again. We'll see what our opponent hits. If they hit the one white thing, okay, so they do. So now our opponent can gain infinite life. However, we are up a game, and our opponent's only at 8 minutes on the clock. So I will try to cut out quite a bit of this here, but our opponent is going to have to click through this a lot. If they want to gain infinite life. So I'll cut back to this when our opponent's done. I'll see how much life they want to gain, but they still have to beat us one more whole time with very little time left on the clock. All right, guys, we're back on here to sideboarding. I made our opponent kill us. They went and found a walking ballista and then killed us, but it took them a little while. You might argue that, whatever methods I just used there are, it's not great sportsmanship, but our opponent should have either A, played faster during the actual match, or B, recognize that this is Magic Online. And Magic Online is not the same game as Magic in paper. You can't shortcut on Magic Online. So they're playing a deck full of shortcuts, and they need to be able to, manage their life and manage everything in such a way that they can win the game on time. I still don't think I want to bring in relics. It would have been a really bad top deck for most of that game there. So our opponent has 3 minutes left. We're on the play here. We will go first. Oh boy, this hand. Wow. I think we got a mulligan this hand. It's a really slow start. We can't even play double Miscreant on 2, so I'm going to mulligan. All right, this hand's a little bit more reasonable. Sure, we'll keep this. Doesn't matter what we're going to do with that land because we are going to fetch it away. All right, so we'll get that Disrupting Shoal plus Vendilion Clique. All right, I think we probably want both of those and we'll put them back in that order. Next turn, we are going to want to play the Mutavault because that way we can still draw both cards. All right, so we're going to play the Mutavault here and pass. We will remand our opponent's turn to play. And then we'll get the Vendilion Clique down and start beating our opponent. Possibly take a Cryptic Command. All right, so we'll remand that. All right, we will go ahead and get an island. And I definitely can see a situation where we actually will Disrupting Shoal what our opponent plays, because if our opponent plays a Voice of Resurgence, the Disrupting Shoal is basically going to be a dead card. Take a look at what our opponent's doing here during their draw step. All right, so they've got Ronas, Voice, Finks. Do we want to take any of these cards and put them on the bottom of our opponent's library? No, I think actually in general we're fine with that. Ronas doesn't bother us. Finks is fine. Voice is fine. If our opponent plays Voice, I might Spellstutter. I might Disrupting Shoal it. But if they play Finks, I will not. Okay, Finks is fine. Oh, we drew a Faerie Miscreant. Okay. Here, then, I like playing the Faerie Miscreant because then we will actually have 3 fairies. So we can Disrupting Shoal something up to 3 here. And it also is a reasonable clock on our opponent. Not like a... it's not like going to blaze through anything, but certainly fine. Spellstutter Sprite that. Tempo our opponent quite a bit there. We know our opponent just has Runas in hand as well as 3 other lands. Okay, our opponent has a Vizier, which is a good draw for them. I was not going to Disrupting Shoal that. All right. Here, I think we will start with the Serum Visions. Okay, so now that we've drawn another Snapcaster Mage, I'm definitely fine with Disrupting Shoal, pitching a Snapcaster Mage. Do we want any of these other cards here? Not really, right? Yeah, I don't think we want either of those. We really just want another land. I'm going to activate the Mutavault here and just mush with everything. If our opponent wants to trade the Vizier for the Mutavault, we were fine with that. Gavany Township is a good draw for our opponent. However, they don't really have a way to deal with our flying threats, and we currently have them on a 2-turn clock with our flyers. Okay, that's fine. They're just going to race us. They're going to deal us 7 here, and then they can kill us next turn unless we leave back blockers. All right, we draw a Disrupting Shoal, or sorry, Polluted Delta, which is a good draw. We'll go ahead and get an island here. And we definitely want to attack our opponent for 4 here, I would say. And hold back with the Spellstutter Sprite. Ooh, Sin Collector. It's a good draw for our opponent. Let's go ahead and Remand that. All right, we drew Disrupting Shoal, which is good. So now we can Disrupting Shoal something for 2. If our opponent attacks us, we just have to throw a Snapcaster Mage in front of something, and then they're dead on the backswing. Okay, they play Verdant Catacombs, which is good. Good for them. Okay, and they're not attacking. Interesting. All right. So here I'm going to attack our opponent with all of our flyers and make them have something. It would have to be like Abrupt Decay. And even then, I think we're still going to be fine. Okay, and our opponent is just dead. All right, so our opponent was forced to play like a beatdown game because they were low on clock, and we were just able to attack them for the win. And I'll see you guys at the beginning of round 3. All right, guys, welcome to round number 3. We're on the play here. This hand's a little bit borderline. It doesn't have really any action, but hopefully we can find some with the Serum Visions. I will fetch here because we want to reduce our chances of drawing a land, as well as be able to have the freedom of play whatever land we want next turn. All right, we drew Chart a Course. We definitely want that. So I'm going to top the Vapor Snag, top the Delver. That means that next turn we can use the Polluted Delta if the card is not good in the matchup, if the Vapor Snag's not good in the matchup. Because our opponent's playing green, it probably is. All right, and our opponent shocks themselves, which is also good for us. And they play a bird. All right. So now we definitely want to play the Delver. And I think we probably just want to get the Mutavault down now. I think I like that. Playing the Delver, getting the Mutavault down. We don't have a 1 mana play here, and for the foreseeable future, it doesn't look like the Mutavault not tapping for blue is going to come to haunt us. So what would we Vendilion Clique, or Disrupting Shoal pitching Vendilion Clique? It would have to be 3 mana and not something that we can Vapor Snag next turn. Next turn, our plan is attack with the Delver and Chart a Course. Because of our Serum Visions, we were able to set up the flip of the Delver. Okay, our opponent looks like they're on Nightfall. All right. Knight of the Reliquary is fine. We're going to gain a lot of tempo from bouncing it. We'd love to reveal Vapor Snag. Let's go ahead and fetch here. Perfect. Attack our opponent for 3. We want to Vapor Snag our opponent now because our opponent will be able to generate a mana off of the Knight. And we'll also Chart a Course here. Sweet, and we drew another Disrupting Shoal. It's a good draw for us. If our opponent just replays the Knight, we can Disrupting Shoal it because we don't have another answer for it right now. Tireless Tracker. Okay, that is something that we will definitely Disrupting Shoal. That's a very big tempo advantage. Oh, and our opponent has a path. Wow. Okay. Well, it's a good draw for our opponent. Get down an island here. All right, we have double Spellstutter Sprite now, so we can actually counter the Knight if our opponent tries to play it. So I think because we can now counter the Knight, we want to just hold up the ability to do so. If our opponent has a second Path to Exile, that goes a little bit bad, but I don't know what the chances of them having that is. It's probably not very high, though. Oh, okay, Voice of Resurgence. Interesting. We might actually be able to get a lot of... We might be able to get both of our opponent's things here. So we'll Spellstutter Sprite that. And then hopefully our opponent just plays the Knight on top of that, and then we can Spellstutter Sprite that. That would be amazing. See if our opponent's going to try to interact with us somehow. Ooh, Spell Quell. Wow. All right. We'll definitely... Oh, they're Spell Quelling the Spellstutter Sprite. Okay, so that works less well. All right, so that's fine. That'll take our Spellstutter. Okay. And then we'll just cast another one. Okay. Counter that. All right, drawing Flooded Strand is not a great draw. We will play it because we want the ability to hard cast Disrupting Shoal something here. Okay, our opponent's going to draw a card. That's fine. Yep, okay, so now we will go ahead and get an island. Counter it unless they pay, or counter it. Yeah, there we go. Counter for 3. Done. We'll see if our opponent wants to trade 2 damage for 3. No, they don't. Okay. And we draw a Remand, which is a decent draw. Noble Hierarch they can have, that's fine. Okay. Interesting. All right, so our opponent is just going to deal us 1 damage with the attack from the bird. Vapor Snag would be a very good draw for us. Another bird. Our opponent actually doesn't have green mana here, so I think we're just going to go ahead and remand it. Okay, interesting. So now, the next time our opponent plays it, we can Vapor Snag the Spell Queller, which will let us have the Spellstutter Sprite come back. But then our opponent can just play the Spell Queller again. So maybe that's less good. Oh, but not if we remand it. Okay. All right, so we're going to have a very complicated stack coming up if our opponent goes to play that 1 mana spell again. Or hopefully something bigger than 1 mana. That would be ideal, actually. All right, our opponent just attacks. They're attacking with the Queller this time. Interesting. All right, so we will take 3 here. That's fine. We're going to use our life total as a resource. That means our opponent drew something big here. All right, Voice of Resurgence. So we are going to Snapcaster. We know that they have Bird of Paradise in their hand. So we'll do this, targeting Vapor Snag. All right, that will Vapor Snag our opponent's Spell Queller. Which means that the Spellstutter Sprite goes back on the stack. So now that this is on the stack, our opponent's going to replay the Spell Queller, and we're going to remand the Spell Queller. Okay, so we'll do that, and then we'll remand the Spell Queller. All right, then we drew a card. Then the Spellstutter Sprite resolves. Good, and then it'll counter the voice. Perfect, okay. So now we know our opponent has Birds of Paradise and Spell Queller in hand. Okay, opponent plays the birds, which we knew about. All right, excellent. So we drew Chart a Course, which is great. We'll go ahead and we will get in there with everything. Opponent's just chumping. That's good for us. All right. Then we will go ahead and start off by casting Chart a Course. And then we'll go ahead and play Delver and Delver. And then we have the ability to Vapor Snag something. We know our opponent has still a Spell Queller in hand, so the Vapor Snag is going to be, I think, a little bit less good. Knight of the Reliquary is fine. If we could successfully flip both of these Delvers, our opponent's going to have to play the Spell Queller in order to block. And then hopefully we can just win the game. All right, flip these Delvers. Come on. Yes. We would love to reveal Serum Visions. Perfect. Yes. All right. We'll start off with the Serum Vision, see if we can draw something. Our opponent will try to spell... Oh, no? Okay. I thought our opponent would try to spell quell that. We'll bottom this and bottom that. So currently, we can attack our opponent. Our opponent can chump here. We know that they're 1 card in hand Spell Queller. So they can chump, take 3. All right, so I'm just going to go to combat here. And I'm going to attack our opponent in the air with all of these things. And hopefully our opponent plays... Okay, cool. All right, so our opponent is going for the Spell Queller. So we can Snapcaster, Remand, Remand this. And then we can Vapor Snag the bird, and that's lethal. Perfect. All right. Moving to sideboard here. Our opponent has Voice of Resurgence, which is really good against what we're trying to do. So I definitely want to get the Vedalken Shackles in here. Set Adrift is interesting in this matchup simply because our opponent cannot Spell Queller it. So maybe there's some usefulness to a Set Adrift, maybe just like one. Relic will be able to shut off what our opponent's doing with Knight of the Reliquary, but not much else than that. However, there's a chance that that's good enough, so maybe bring in a couple of them. A lot of the counter spells aren't necessarily going to be amazing in this matchup just because our opponent is going to have Voice of Resurgence, which is easily their best card. So I like maybe cutting a little bit from the Faerie package, like 2 Miscreants and 2 Spellstutter Sprites. That way we can leave in like the Remands and stuff like that still. And maybe submit like that. There's also a chance, well, I guess maybe what we should do is just cut all the Miscreants and take back, or leave in the spells. Yeah. So that way we're not reliant on the Spellstutter Sprites. We can just play them at any point and basically just use them as flying attackers. They have a little bit of value. On the other hand, the Faerie Miscreants, like you've seen so far, we've played 3 matches. We haven't drawn a single card with them. They just really are just enablers for the Spellstutter Sprites and things we can pitch to Disrupting Shoal. Yeah, maybe we do want a second Set Adrift. I'm going to buy that. Let's take a second Set Adrift and we'll cut a Remand from the deck. On the draw, Remand isn't very good anyway. All right, what does this hand do? This hand has double Set Adrift and Spellstutter Sprites. I don't think we can keep this hand. I mean, these Set Adrifts aren't doing anything for the longest time. Yeah, let's mulligan that. All right, this hand's not much better, but, I mean, at least it's got things we can theoretically do. All right, Noble Hierarch. Oh, okay, that's great. We could definitely do that because we already have turn 1 and turn 2 plays with the way that this hand is. Or sorry, we have a turn 2 play with the way that this hand's set up. We can just play the Chart of Course next turn. All right, Finks is fine. That's, in terms of cards, that's not super scary. Unfortunately, we drew a Flooded Strand. Wow. All right. I think that means we just have to play the Polluted Delta here and pass, or the Mutavault here and pass the turn. Um, I guess we could have just played the Chart of Course to discard. Yeah, maybe we should have definitely done that. Thinking back, we definitely should have played the Chart of Course, just discarding one of these random lands that we have in hand. This, at least, we get to maybe show our opponent that we have a Remand or something like that in our hand. But, yeah, we definitely should have played Chart of Course, because now we're going to be behind a whole turn. And, yeah, this is becoming a disaster very quickly. Okay, our opponent has most likely Collected Company, which they might use in our upkeep. I think in general I'm fine with this if they want to do it during our upkeep. Yeah, this means that we're free from... Okay, Scavenging Ooze is fine. Knight of the Reliquary can potentially be a problem. Cryptic Command. Yes, we'd love to reveal Cryptic Command. Perfect. All right. We'll play this Flooded Strand, and we'll crack the Flooded Strand. And we really need to draw some sort of interaction with our opponent off this Chart of Course. Disrupting Shoal is not that. All right, so we're going to take a big hit here. And then for the foreseeable future, we're going to have to Cryptic Command our opponent and Snap Cryptic our opponent and hope that they don't draw a way to interact with us. All right. So we'll take some damage here and then see if our opponent... If our opponent just holds up Spell Queller, we're just dead. All right. Okay, we drew a Set Adrift, which theoretically can be good. Because we drew the Set Adrift, I want to play the Flooded Strand here. And there's no reason... Like, we just have to make our opponent show us that they have a Spell Queller. We're going to need to erase them by playing this Insectile Aberration. And then Cryptic Command, tapping the team, drawing a card, and then doing the same thing again. This is kind of why I was a little bit worried to bring in... Oh, Blessed Alliance. Okay. I mean, yeah, that makes it way less likely that we can win this game, but okay. Wait till our opponent's beginning of combat step. And we'll try to use a Cryptic Command to tap our opponent's team and draw a card. And if they have Spell Queller, we'll just concede. Yep, okay. All right. Do we want to do anything different in the matchup? I think maybe these relics are just bad. Let's cut the relics. We'll bring in Jace. This is a little bit of a grindy matchup. We'll bring in the Jace, bring in the Remand, and we'll submit like that. All right, we will go first. Oh boy. All right, this hand is a hand of 7 cards. I think we keep this. It has enough interaction. It's got the Vedalken Shackles, which is really good in the matchup. And it's got lands to be able to use the Shackles. So I think I'm okay with this, especially because we have the Spell Snare on 2. Start off with the Flooded Strand. We want to get cards in our graveyard as fast as possible for the Vedalken Shackle, or for the Set Adrift, rather. All right, our opponent does not have a play here, which is good for us. Just go ahead and get an island. We drew Jace. It's a good draw. I think we want to just play the Mutavault here and pass the turn. What would be ideal here is if we can Spell Snare our opponent's play, then play Vedalken Shackles, and then play Jace, and then protect the Jace using the Vedalken Shackles. Our opponent not having a 1-mana accelerant is amazing for us. I think they have 8 in their deck. They have 4 birds, 4 nobles. And we will definitely Spell Snare something here. Looks like this is a voice. Yeah, Spell Snare that. Perfect. Oh, a Remand. I think we want to just hold up Remand. That actually seems even more appealing than playing the Vedalken Shackles. I don't want to get the Vedalken Shackles hit by something here. I'd rather keep our opponent off of something big and then slamming Jace. Okay, our opponent has a Noble. Currently, our opponent cannot recast the Noble Hierarch, so I actually like remanding this. Our opponent already played their land for the turn. Perfect, okay. Sweet. So our opponent is a little bit crunched on mana, and hopefully we can just bury them with this Jace. If our opponent wants to Ghost Quarter themselves to try to counter this Jace, we're fine with that. All right, do we want to put back any of these cards? I think we definitely want to put back a Set Adrift. So we'll put Set Adrift the second furthest back. So we'll do Set Adrift and Island. So that way we will draw the Island, and then we will use the Polluted Delta to shuffle away the Set Adrift. We can use the Vedalken Shackles to take something like a Noble Hierarch if our opponent plays it here. Okay, another Noble Hierarch. It's good for our opponent. All right, so here I'm going to fetch away the second Set Adrift first. And then we want to draw some cards here. Possibly a better play than Vedalken Shackles. All right, no, there's not. All right, so we will just go ahead. I know I'm doing this like one behind what the usual like quote-unquote pattern is for Jace's, but I think I'm happy enough with this sort of plan. Do we want to Vedalken Shackles, take one of these Noble Hierarchs, or do we want to do something different? That's the most mana efficient play, so I think we'll just go ahead and do it. And I want to take it now so our opponent doesn't get to use that mana. If our opponent has a path on their own Noble Hierarch, I think we're cool with that also. Yeah, okay, sweet. And most likely we'll give back this Noble Hierarch during our opponent's turn. I was looking for a threat there with the Jace. That's why I was doing the thing. I wanted to do the thing, not that necessarily would see us the most... or would let us see the most cards this coming turn. I wanted to do the thing that would let us see the most cards the previous turn, because I wanted something like a Delver there. I know I didn't phrase that very well. Okay, so our opponent also has Jace. which is good. However, we can set adrift our opponent, which is cool. We can set adrift the Jace that our opponent has, which is a huge mana swing in our advantage. Our opponent currently doesn't have anything else in their hand. Or they didn't play anything else, so we'll just keep the Noble Hierarch. Here we will go ahead and start off by brainstorming with this Jace. We'll put back 2 lands here, and we'll play the Polluted Delta and fetch with it. Get an island, and then we will set adrift our opponent's Jace. And what's cool is this Noble Hierarch actually taps for blue mana. So we can Serum Visions here, and Serum Visions again, and we can also still use this Noble Hierarch. If our opponent wants to fetch with their Windswept Heath, they'll have to do it now. All right, sweeto. And then we'll play the Serum Visions. And we will bottom both of these, because we're still looking for a threat here. We'll play another Serum Visions. We drew a chart, of course, all right. And we're going to bottom both of those again. Still looking for a Delver. And we'll just pass. All right, and we will remand that. All right, we drew a Spellstutter Sprite, which is a good draw. At the end of the turn here, we're going to Vapor Snag our opponent's Noble Hierarch because they are very behind on mana. All right, awesome. We'll continue to keep the Noble Hierarch. Great. Drawing a Cryptic Command is very good. We'll put back the island and a chart, of course. We'll play the Polluted Delta and crack the Polluted Delta. Draw this island here. And we will also not attack because the Noble Hierarch is actually just like another land, which is really cool. If our opponent plays another creature, we can take it with the Vedalken Shackles. All right, our opponent shocks in. The Hollowed Fountain will Cryptic Command their Jace when they play it here. Oh, it doesn't look like they're playing Jace. All right, maybe they are. Thinking about how they're going to tap their cards again. All right, they are playing Jace. So we will go ahead and counter the Jace and draw a card. Drew another Cryptic Command. That's great. Shocking in a Temple Garden. We will Spellstutter Sprite the Noble Hierarch. Awesome. All right. We will not untap the permanents again because of the same reason as last time. Draw with the Jace. Put back Visions plus Snag. We're going to actually wind up drawing those cards anyway. We'll attack our opponent with the Spellstutter Sprite, which is actually attacking for 2. Which is pretty cool. And then we will go ahead and chart a course and play the Serum Visions. right, we drew another Delver. We're going to bottom these. We actually want one more land here. And I'll play a Delver of Secrets, and we still have the ability to Cryptic Command up. All right, and our opponent concedes. That's what happens when you have an unchecked Jace. We were able to win the Jace mirror with a bunch of backup there. I was very happy with the way the Vedalken Shackles actually performed there. Taking our opponent off 1 mana doesn't seem much, but we were able to use the mana when our opponent really needed the mana, and it kind of helped us be able to progress and protect our Jace. And I think that everything just went really well there. So I'll see you guys at the beginning of round number 4. We're 3-0. All right, guys, welcome to round number 4. We have won the die roll, so we'll be on the play with a hand that... Ooh, this is an interesting one. All right, so what we can do here is play a Delver, and then if we don't flip the Delver, we can play a Delver and then make sure that we can flip both Delvers. So let's do that. Let's get a Delver down. Our opponent went down to 6, and a tempo deck is excellent on the play when the opponent is mulliganing. Minimo. Merfolk? Yeah, Merfolk. Interesting. All right. Let's see if this Delver flips. It does not. All right. So we'll go ahead and play this Polluted Delta out now and fetch an island with it. We'll start off with the Serum Visions because we don't want our opponent to counter it with the Curse Catcher. And we will top the Disrupting Shoal, top the Chart a Course. Yep. And then we'll play another Delver, and then we'll be able to flip both Delvers next turn, and then we'll be able to Chart a Course, and hopefully everything goes well. Do we want to trade a Curse Catcher for a Delver? Probably. Okay, our opponent's fine with countering that with that. That's fine. We're cool with that too, because our opponent's going to be able to make that Curse Catcher big and eventually possibly win a counter war with it. Sure, Aether Vial's fine. All right, and we will, because we're a tempo deck, we're ahead on cards. Like we already mulligan, or we knew our opponent mulligan. There we go, and we want to push our advantage as much as possible in cards. And one way we can do that is basically by trading 1-for-1 with our opponent. All right, we'll cast Serum Visions first so we know that we want to draw some of the cards here. Like the second Faerie Miscreant is actually pretty good with the way that our hand is going to be shaping up. Because next turn we can play double Faerie Miscreant and then hold up Spellstutter Sprite. All right, what would we counter? Well, Reejerey is something we can't counter, so obviously not that. All right, we drew a land, which isn't great. We'll play Miscreant. Play a land, play Miscreant. Hopefully draw something that matters here. Vapor Snag. All right, that actually is very good. Go ahead and attack with the Insectile Aberration. Try to leverage the fact that we have more cards than our opponent favorably for us. Okay, so our opponent looks like they're going to play a Lord here. Silvergill Adept. Okay, that's not a Lord. That's fine. They draw a card. All right, Lord of Atlantis is a card that we will definitely... so with that trigger on the stack there, we will go ahead and Spellstutter Sprite the Lord of Atlantis. Which is a positive tempo play for us. All right, so now our opponent can untap the Aether Vial. Oh, they're just activating Mutavault for now, which is fine. Do we want to triple block that? Probably, right? Like, even if our opponent vials in another Lord, we would still get the triple block kill. Yeah, that seems fine for us. Cool. All right. So we will play that land, Serum Visions. Those are real bad. Wow. All right. Would have been nice to draw a little bit more action there. Maybe I was a little bit too aggressive with the trades. Usually, in general, what you want to do with Merfolk is you want to trade off as many things as possible. And that was really just a one-for-one because these Faerie Miscreants drew a card. So the second one was free, and the Spellstutter Sprite countered something, so that was also free. So killing the Reejerey there was really like a one-for-one. It removed all of our tempo, but, I mean, that was the one that was giving everything Island Walk. Like, none of these here give our opponent Island Walk. All right, our opponent's attacking for... We're going to actually take this damage here because right now there's nothing that we can Vapor Snag and be excited about it. There's still nothing really that exciting. And maybe at the end step we'll remove the Mutavault. Yeah, at the end step we'll get rid of the Mutavault. That way our opponent can't animate it again next turn. Suppose we could have countered the Smuggler's Copter, but I wasn't a huge fan of that. Get in with the Aberration. We needed to draw more action there. That's not good for us. Yeah, there's definitely a chance that I misplayed this at many different junctions. Probably trading off that first Curse Catcher was not correct. But as of right now, our opponent can't attack with the Master of the Pearl Trident, which is very good for us. Because we can block it with the Mutavault. Okay, the Mutavault is... Okay, oh, I see. Our opponent's going to attack. All right. use it to crew up the Smuggler's Copter. Okay. Smuggler Copter has been crewed. We will activate the Mutavault here in response. All right, our opponent gets to draw a discard here. Aether Vial is very bad here. All right, and then we'll move to blocks here. We have to block this. If our opponent has a Lord to Vial in here, it's bad for us, but okay. We go to 1. Opponent plays a Curse Catcher. We will Disrupting Shoal counter that unless our opponent pays 1. Or sorry, that's not how that works. We're countering a spell with convert mana cost to 1. There we go. All right. Cryptic Command is the perfect draw. It's the only card I believe that would have let us survive another turn. We're going to have to draw like another one though, and then, you know, still some other stuff. And I think actually our opponent will have to screw up. Our opponent should be able to win this game regardless of how they play it if they just move to combat and attack with the Silvergill Adept. The only thing is that if we had a flash creature, that would be bad. All right, so like this is great. So when, okay, our opponent moves to combat here. Oh, and they're just going to crew up the Copter here? Are they going to let us draw a card? Oh my gosh. Please do that. Please. Yes. All right, sweet. So we're actually going to get to draw a card here because our opponent was afraid of multiple chump blockers. So here at the beginning of combat phase, we will tap all creatures our opponent controls and draw a card. All right, yes. And then we're going to get to play this Spellstutter Sprite and win the game somehow. Wow. All right. Our opponent was very... Vapor Snag would have done it too. We could have just Vapor Snagged this and won. Wow. All right. So our opponent was very aggressive there. If our opponent would have just attacked with the Silvergill Adept, we would have only been able to bounce either this or the Mutavault. But that line would have lost if we had in our hand a card like a Spellstutter Sprite. So our opponent could have like split the difference and just activated the Mutavault and then went to combat so that we would have had to tap our opponent's team and bounce the Copter, which means that we wouldn't have gotten to draw a card, and we would have drawn Spellstutter Sprite, which wouldn't have actually won the game. Although a draw of a Vapor Snag still would have won the game. Interesting. All right, so we'll move to game 2. In this matchup, what cards do we want? Well, counter spells in general are absolutely awful against decks that are playing artifacts like Aether Vial. Basically just Aether Vial decks. All right, so Vedalken Shackles is fine. Set Adrift is interaction, so maybe we'll bring those in. We'll bring in the Jace. I'm not bringing in Hurkyl's Recalls just to deal with those artifacts. Well, I guess they also have Smuggler's Copter, so maybe like 1, just because of how bad cards like Spell Snare and Remand are, and Disrupting Shoal. So maybe if we like leave 2 Disrupting Shoals, 2 Remands in, and bring those in, we might stand a fighting chance post board. All right, this hand Vapor Snags a lot. This hand isn't very good, to be totally honest. I guess we'll keep it, but I'm not happy about it. We need to find lands. All right, our opponent doesn't have anything turn 1, which is good for us, because we can hopefully tempo our opponent using this Vapor Snag turn 2. But we are going to need to draw lands in order for that to be good. This might just be a classic case of, miss the second land, brick and die. I'm pretty sure the 19 lands are where this deck wants to be, but at the same time, haven't really tested it enough to be 100% sure of that. You need, like, you know, a crazy number of games in order to actually figure that stuff out. All right, so we know our opponent has a Curse Catcher, and we can't really be, like, you know, results oriented. Like, you can't say, oh, we should have 20 lands in this deck because we missed here. Like, you know, I mean, yeah, we missed here, but all right, I think we're going to show our opponent Jace because we're going to board that out, actually. I don't think we're going to keep that in for the next game. All right, our opponent has a Reejerey. We can be tempo positive here and Vapor Snag the Reejerey. But tempo cards like Vapor Snag are not very good if we don't have anything to follow it up with. Like, if that was Dismember, it would actually be a lot better in this situation because we can't leverage the fact the Vapor Snag, because our opponent gets the card back. All right, well, at least we drew a land there, so that's closer to being in the right direction. We'll probably just do the same thing. We'll Vapor Snag our opponent's card again and then hope to draw a land so that we can Snapcaster Mage Serum Visions and maybe get back on the right track. Okay, opponent has a Curse Catcher. That's fine. Yep. Just Vapor Snag it again. We've put 2 non-land cards to the bottom of our library already, so I'm not going to crack this Polluted Delta until we absolutely need it. We drew a Delver, which is bad. So we'll play the Delver, and we'll pass the turn, but I'm fairly certain we can't win from this position. All right, there's a Reejerey. All right, so we're going to set an upkeep stop for ourselves. We're going to take this damage here, and we're going to use this Delver as a scry. So even if we flip with the Delver, we're then going to fetch away the card. Island, that's not something we'd like to reveal, but it is something that we'd like to move to our main phase for. All right, so there's the Island. Play this. Crack the Island. And I think we're going to pass the turn here and then Vendilion Clique ourselves when our opponent attacks. Opponent might be flooding out. We could have a shot. All right. Lord of Atlantis is very bad for us. I guess we can Snapcaster. Yeah, okay, so what we can do here is we can Snapcaster Vapor Snag it. And then make our opponent sacrifice the Curse Catcher. Yeah, I mean, I guess this isn't the worst, right? We might just be dead still. So there's a lot of island. Yeah, all right, we'll see if our opponent sees the line here. So we're going to go ahead and Snapcaster Mage. Target Vapor Snag. And then we'll Vapor Snag this Lord of Atlantis, which would let us block here and like here or something like that. Oh, okay, and our opponent is going to show us that they're bringing in Unified Will. Okay, so that's really good for us. They could have just sacked the Curse Catcher. All right, so we know now that our opponent has Unified Will. Does that want to change what we're doing at all? I think that definitely makes me want to bring in these Remands again, because that means that Remand is still not a bad card. I think, like I said, we can cut the Jace. And maybe a Set Adrift, something like that. Because we just want to hopefully tempo our opponent out here. I mean, This hand's got the Shackles in it, so we'll keep it. Shackles is a good way of fighting through our opponent's creatures. We can just take them. Take the ones that give them Island Walk, then block the ones that aren't. We need a turn 2 play. Man, our opponent has nothing again? That's great for us. All right. Us drawing another land isn't great. I'm going to fetch now so that our opponent makes our opponent think that we have another land, but there's actually no reason for us to hold the lands. In fact, we actually probably want to just play them out because we have the one Set Adrift in our deck. Okay, our opponent is going to Harbinger of the Tides the Faerie back to our hand. There's a lot worse things that could have happened than that. So here we can play Delver plus Vedalken Shackles. Actually, I think I just like playing the Shackles here. If we play the Shackles, that means that next turn we can take one of our opponent's things plus play Delver plus Miscreant, which seems good for us. And there's only so we've taken 6, 7, 8 lands out of our library, so we only have 11 lands left in the whole thing. All right, so our opponent's going to attack us here for 2. Wow, and they're not playing anything. Wow, that's great for us. Okay, so we'll go ahead and fetch it. Now there's only 10 lands left in our whole library, which is great. We'll play the Faerie Miscreant. See if our opponent wants to Unified Will this. No, it doesn't look like they do. All right, that's great. And we'll play the Delver, and then that still lets us hold up Vedalken Shackles. All right, so maybe there's a chance that we should experiment with some more Vedalken Shackles in this deck. Our opponent has a Dismember. That's fine. That means the Delver did 4 damage. Which is pretty good for a little Delver. Opponent's going to Echoing Truth our Vedalken Shackles. Interesting. Yeah, okay. All right, sure. So our opponent's going to attack with the Harbinger. They currently cannot Unified Will unless they play another creature. All right, so there's... basically, there's no way our opponent doesn't have something here. Like, I feel like they just have to. So I think I honestly just like attacking for 1 and then playing Chart a Course here. And then Vendilion Clique. Okay, sweet. Yeah, all right. That's great. Perfect. So we'll wait until our opponent... All right, so our opponent's just attacking us for 2, and we're fine with that. We're not trying to force anything here. In fact, if we can just get this Vendilion Clique down, we'll be in very good shape. Silvergill Adept revealing Silvergill Adept. Okay, so we will Spellstutter Sprite this Silvergill Adept. They can play a second Silvergill Adept if they want to, but that's not super scary. No, they're not doing. Wow. Okay. Well, that's really good for us too. All right. So we can play this Mutavault, which is a clock. We have 6 mana. So how about we start off with the Vedalken Shackles? Okay, and they just have negate. That's fine. And then we'll attack our opponent for 2 here. And then draw step the Vendilion Clique them. We flooded out real bad this game. We also took a lot of damage off our lands. We took 5 damage off of our lands. All right, Tides, Adept, Copter. Well, we might as well just take an Adept because they're going to draw a card off of it anyway. So we'll just take that. So we know that they have 2 Harbingers and a Copter in their hand. And we'll just go ahead and we'll take 2 here. That's fine. See if they want to play another Harbinger plus a Copter. Okay, so there's the Copter. They should probably play Harbinger also. Yeah, okay. And they'll bounce one of these, probably this Miscreant. Sure. Okay. It's good mana efficient play from our opponent. Ooh, we drove a Vapor Snag. That's great. All right. So we definitely want to play this Miscreant. We don't want to attack with the Mutavault because our opponent will just use the Smuggler's Copter to block it. But we do want to attack with this Vendilion Clique. Okay, so our opponent is going to activate the Copter. I think we want to just go ahead and Vapor Snag that. And then we can counter it on the way down. Lord of Atlantis is a good draw. Because it gives our opponent Island Walk, we are going to actually have to Disrupting Shoal this. But our opponent will get to play the other thing again, which is good for our opponent. They get to play the Copter. We need to draw a Snapcaster Mage here. Okay, so they get to play the Copter. See if they'll attack here. Probably not. Wow, they are attacking. Okay, so let's do a little bit of math here. So if we attack with all of our things, our opponent will crew up this, block this, and go to 4. And then we're dead if they have another Lord. Oh, I guess they don't have to even block with the... Wow. All right, I'm going to take this. I'm not sure if that's correct. All right, we drew Delver. I'm going to attack with this Vendilion Clique. That way, if our opponent wants to trade with the trade with the Smuggler's Copter, they can. Yeah, but yeah, we just didn't draw enough high impact spells. You can see from Yeah. That's just unfortunate. We just didn't really draw anything that we needed to this game. All right, our opponent discards Kira. Wow, if our opponent's discarding Kira, that means wow. Because that's really good against what we're trying to do, just because we have so many flyers. All right, so theoretically, if we reveal Vapor Snag, yeah, okay, so that just kills us. I was gonna say, if we revealed Vapor Snag on the top of our library, that would have potentially let us win the game. But unfortunately, we didn't get there. Yep, that's 6. All right, good game, opponent. Just for fun, I'll see what was on top of our library. Draw a card. Oh, it was a Vapor Snag. Wow, look at that. So if our opponent bricked on the Master and they just attacked us for 4, put us to 1 or something like that, or even if they didn't attack and they just sat there, could have activated the Mutavault, Vapor Snag one of their things, and then attacked with everything for the win. Man. All right, guys, welcome to round number 5, looking to 4-1 this league. This hand's fine. We've got double Faerie Miscreant. We've got Remand. We can play all of our lands. All right, our opponent has a Scalding Tarn. Do we want to play a Faerie Miscreant into a Scalding Tarn? Consider we drew a Chart of Course, probably. So let's go ahead and get a Faerie out. If our opponent wants to bolt the Faerie, that's fine. If our opponent doesn't want to bolt the Faerie, that's fine too. If our opponent shocks themselves to bolt the Faerie, it's basically like the Faerie did its job anyway. No, okay, our opponent's just opting. Okay. Jeskai control would be my guess, I guess. There's no reason for that to be on their draw step anymore. Maybe they'll play a Search for Ascanta here, something we can never beat in a million years. Is it Charm? Wow. All right. That's fine, I guess. Jeez. So this is some sort of Blue Moon deck, I guess our opponent's playing. Do we want to just hold up Remand? Do we want to play Miscreant plus Serum Visions? Let's play Miscreant plus Serum Visions. There's nothing on 3 that's too threatening. On 4, there's a lot, though. All right, we'll top. We want to play the other Miscreant, if possible. Gemstone Caverns. Oh, yeah, sure. Whatever Gemstone Caverns means, you got it. All right, we'll start with a land. We'll play Faerie Miscreant. All right, cool. We'll draw a card. Sounds good to me. Attack you for 1, and then we'll hold up Remand. I mean, it's kind of silly, but this is what the deck wants to do in a race like this. All right, so our opponent has just Opt in their hand. I think that we're fine with that. Our opponent can Snapcaster Mage Opt here. That's good. They got it. We just want to prevent our opponent from slamming Jace, even though Jace isn't great in the face of double Faerie Miscreant. Okay, our opponent will not attack us. Okay, sure, that's fine. We'll go ahead and fetch with this Flooded Strand, because we're probably going to play the Chart of Course. Attack with Faerie Miscreants. and then we will chart a course. Our opponent is behind on lands. Remand. Do we want to remand? All right, so we're going to make a next level play here, which is we're going to remand our own chart a course. This is something that happens a lot in control mirrors. It's countering their remand. They don't get to draw a card, and because they're behind on lands, that seems great for us. Is we will just cast our chart a course next turn. We got our chart a course back and drew a card, and we removed a card from our opponent's deck. So it's kind of like a 2-for-1 in our favor. Opponent found our land for their turn. They play Blood Moon, which is fine. They don't care at all about Blood Moon. I mean, I guess we care like a very little bit about Blood Moon, but not very much at all. Also, because we can convert these Vapor Snags into card draw each time, which is kind of cool also. So we can knock our opponent down there. We'll play the chart a course. All right, we have a Spellstutter Sprite. Okay. We'll go ahead and Serum Visions here, I guess. Chart a course seems good too. These are going to be red lands. Chart a course, Cryptic Command. So let's top. And for some reason, our opponent's not attacking with the Snapcaster Mage, and I have no idea what that reason is, but they're not doing it. They currently only have one island. So I have really no clue what's going on here. Opponent ends their turn. Okay. We'll play another Polluted Delta. Attack our opponent for 2. And this is fine. I mean, we're very far ahead on board. Well, not very far ahead, but we're ahead on board, and we're ahead on cards. We have 7 cards in hand. Our opponent has 5. And we have usable mana, and they don't. Opponent plays Snapcaster Mage. I guess we'll Spellstutter Sprite it. I mean, we're just going to utilize our tempo advantage, I guess. Five mana for Keranos? Oh, it's a Through the Breach deck. Interesting. Well, I didn't think that one through very well, I guess. All right. There's a chance we could survive this for sure. All right. So our opponent has an Emrakul. We will Vapor Snag their Snapcaster Mage, I guess. They can move to combat here. That's fine. All right. So Annihilator 6. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then chump the Emrakul. Okay. Emrakul is chumped. All right, then our opponent sacrifices that. Shuffles it all back. All right, and now it's our turn again. Sweet, and we drew a Delver. So we'll play the Delver. It's a good draw from our opponent. Wow. All right. See if our opponent kills our Delver. We can either Vapor Snag our own Delver or play a Snapcaster Mage to kill the Chandra. I think I like just Vapor Snagging our own Delver here. Land. Yeah, land. All right, sweet. So we'll play the Delver, and then we can Snapcaster bounce something, and then we have Cryptic Command up. We know our opponent still has a Snapcaster Mage in hand. Ooh, Is It Charm's a good draw from our opponent. Wow. All right. Here, I think we're going to go for the Snapcaster Vapor Snag. And then Vapor Snag our Delver. Because then we can still kill the Chandra here, which is kind of cool. Hope our opponent passes. Yeah, all right. Our opponent just passes the turn. Good for us. We have the Cryptic Command. We will attack the Chandra here. And then we actually just have Cryptic Command up, so I think I'm cool with just leaving up Cryptic here. All right, here we'll play the Delver and attack our opponent. We know our opponent still has Snapcaster Mage. Our opponent has Bolt too. So they have Bolt, and then they also have Snapcaster. So do we want to Vapor Snag our Snapcaster? Nope, probably not. All right, we know our opponent has Snapcaster Mage. Maybe they'll use it here. Yeah. All right. Sweeto. Opponent just plays a Simian Spirit Guide. That's fine too. All right, let's hope we can flip this. No. But Snapcaster Mage is really not bad at all. I'm going to Vapor Snag this simply because that'll actually let us get in for 2 damage. Yeah, that's fine. Opponent plays a Polluted Delta. At the end of the turn, we will Snapcaster Mage, bounce the Simian Spirit Guide back to our opponent's hand using this Vapor Snag here. And then if we can flip the Delver, we'll win. Darn. Actually, I guess what we can do is this. We can... So that's 4 mana. We can return the Blood Moon to our opponent's hand and draw a card. And then that'll free our Mutavault. All right, great. So we were able to beat an Emrakul, which I was not ready for, but we beat it. So that's cool. Let's board in a way where that doesn't happen again. So we'll bring in the Spell Pierces and the Dispel and the Jace. We could try to manage our opponent's graveyard with the relics, but I don't think that's exactly where we want to be. We probably have just as many Snapcasters as they do. And we want the negate. So we want these. We also probably want the Geists. So these will all come in. Cards that will come out will be Faerie Miscreant and Vapor Snag. Even though Vapor Snag actually was pretty good in there, I think I like just going down on those, and they're not high impact enough. Maybe we'll bring in 1 Set Adrift in case our opponent has something that we want to bounce to their hand, like a Keranos or something like that. All right, and this hand's great for what we're trying to do. Opponent plays a Polluted Delta. Steam Vents. Ooh. That's actually one of the best cards, like singular best cards against our deck. So that's real bad for us. We'll go ahead and start off with a island, and we'll try to draw something that deals with the Grim Lavamancer. We don't really have many. We'll top the Flooded Strand and top the island. I guess one of our best ways of doing it is to just win with Geist Traft beats. Or maybe our opponent will attack with it because they, I don't know, or maybe they'll attack it into a Snapcaster Mage. That would be kind of cool, actually. All right, so here then we will just play the island and pass the turn. I really don't think our opponent will have Blood Moons left in their library. Okay. Our opponent only had one card in the library or in their graveyard there. See if they attack with the Grim Lavamancer, please. No. Okay. So here we are going to wait probably one more turn on the Geist. I want to hold up at least one way to interact with it. So here at the end step, we'll fetch and get So the one big problem here is that we currently are going to get wrecked if our opponent just goes land Emrakul, if we try to jam Geist. And we're not on a clock right now, and we have a lot of counter magic, and we're still hitting all of our land drops. So I think we'll wait at least one more turn. The end of this turn, we can use this Cryptic Command to bounce the Grim Lavamancer and basically force our opponent to use a spell. All right, so like in this case here, our opponent missed a land drop this turn. So we will go ahead and Cryptic Command, return the Grim Lavamancer to our opponent's hand, and draw a card. Our opponent will definitely counter this. Opponent shocks. Okay, they're gonna is it charm. That's fine. Nope. All right, so we drew another land, which is great. So we'll go white 3 and play Geist. Our opponent tries to remand it, and we will Spell Snare the Remand, so that way even if they try to go through the breach, we can Spell Pierce the through the breach. So that's what I hope they do here, is they just go land, then try to through the breach, and then we Spell Snare it. Yep. All right, we'll Spell Pierce the through the breach. Oh man, they double Spirit Guide into wow. That's all right. Well, our opponent deserved to win that game. Oh boy, that is a oof. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. That was gross. All right, and we'll concede. Well then, Yeah, I don't really have words after that, to be totally honest. We'll bring in a Vedalken Shackles, I guess. Seems like a pretty good way to manage our opponent's graveyard. Relic. Yeah, maybe let's just do Relic. Relic seems better. That was unbelievably gross. All right. Yeah, let's keep this hand. We need at least one more fetch and some other stuff. Okay, our opponent's got the Gemstone Cavern. We'll just yield to that. See what they exile. They exile another Gemstone Caverns. Okay. See if our opponent has a bolt for this Delver. We will probably Disrupting Shoal and Is It Charm if they play that. Nope. No, we will not reveal a Delver. It's a pretty safe bet that we're going to play whatever card we drew, though. I guess the other thing we could do here is we could chart a course. Yeah, I guess that's more mana efficient, so we'll do that. If they remand it, we'll Disrupting Shoal it. No, okay. Well, we weren't flipping the Delver next turn anyway, so... This actually sets up our land drop so that we can go Delver into Disrupting Shoal. Or Delver into Geist. Oof. Wow. All right. Snapcaster Mage will not flip a Delver, so we won't reveal it. We will play an island, however. And then we will get in for 1 at our opponent with the very anemic beatdowns. Our opponent goes for Snapcaster Mage just to block. Yep, we're fine with that. We're not going to waste a Disrupting Shoal on that. We'll play a Delver, and that'll be that. I have a feeling our opponent's going to go for the Disrupting Shoal, or they're going to go for Exile Simian Spirit Guide, Exile Simian Spirit Guide, or Through the Breach Us or something nuts, crazy like that. Flooded Strand is not going to flip our Delver either. Wow, we've not had good luck with this Delver this game. Let's go ahead and get a Prairie stream here. And I guess we'll try to fight this. All right, the Geist resolves. But we're not in good shape here because we haven't been flipping our Delvers. If we've been flipping our Delvers, we'd be in much better shape. Okay, if our opponent bolts that, that's great for us. All right. So Geist of St. Traft does damage in increments of 6. So as of right now, we are actually like spot on where we want to be. Man, and our opponent has the Through the Breach here, and they're just going to get us real good. That's rough. All right. Resolves. All right, put us down to 3. Wow, that's rough. All right, so our opponent only has 1 card in hand, and we have a land, but we're dead to a lot of things. Like Bolt. And we also can't cast our other Geist because we got rid of our land. Oh, they're just trying to cast... Oh, Carano. Wow. Okay, we have like 1 out now. We need to draw... Oh, no, we even took it out, right? I think we took it out. Yeah, we took out our Set Adrift. Oh, man. All right. Well, our opponent played that very well. Keranos is just going to kill us. Yeah. I feel like even if they just played like the Mana Monkey, we would have been... that's so frustrating. Revealing Emrakul. All right, we're dead. Good games, opponent. All right, so we only managed to go to go 3-2 in our friendly league here. Let's go ahead and open whatever our pack was that we got. I don't keep anything on Magic Online because I rent my cards. So let's see what we got in our treasure chest. Open. Here, we'll see. Well, I'll even show you guys. It's just the one treasure chest. There we go. That's the only one I have. All right, open it. And what did we even get? We can only cast it. We have another green spell this turn. Okay, so we got pretty bad stuff. We got another negate, which is one of my favorite cards, but I have like 12 of them, so I don't need more negates. All right, well, thank you guys for watching. Be sure to enter into the drawing by liking and subscribing to the channel, and I'll be back in either 2 weeks or when we reach 100 likes, and I will send out information to the person who won, and I'll probably put it in the discussion page of my channel. So if you subscribe to it as part of entering it, you should be able to see who wins. All right, and thanks, guys. I'll see you guys next.